What's up, everybody? I am stoked to be with you back again today on the Matt Pete Marketing Podcast. I'm really excited to bring you Andrea Freeman. Andrea Freeman started her first business when she was 12 years old. 3 businesses and a lot of learning later, she's hosted red carpet celebrities in her event planning business. But she felt unfulfilled, so she said to herself, there's got to be a better way. That pivotal moment prompted a soulful search. Today, Andrea uses her groundbreaking H.O.S.T Your Life Method and successful track record as a business owner to coach creative entrepreneurs. Her mission to help business owners align with their purpose, create results with greater ease, and make a lasting impact in the world. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me here.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited because I've been in that, when you said there has to be a better way, when you thought that, I've been in that moment. And I'm constantly asking myself, there has to be a better way to do this. So I love that not only have you asked yourself that, but it's part of your bio, it's part of your story, so I absolutely love that. So I've got you on here. What's your marketing passion?
So I am definitely all about alignment and a balance of mindset and strategies when we pull together our message and the way that we're going to target our ideal customer or client. So it's something that I actually call energetic marketing, like putting it out there in a way that has your own flavor and allows the people who are right for you to resonate with your message and then find you.
I love that. And I know we were talking in the pre-interview chat. I love how real you got. You were like, great. If you throw a bunch of marketing stuff out there and you reach a bunch of people, it doesn't matter if they're the wrong type of people, so getting that niche and that specific targeted audience, that's brilliant. In any business, that's important.
So important. So important. I mean, yeah, who cares? Like and then there's so many companies that will promise you'll get this many leads, you'll get this many that, but if they're not the right people for you, like are we in business really to work with the wrong people? I don't think so. That's not what feels good. That's not why we go into business. We go into business for more freedom, for more ease, for more flow, right? And
Preach.
so yeah, with that kind of clarity, then we want to be bringing in the right people. Sorry, I can
Yeah,
get a
no,
little
I
on the
love it. I
pulpit.
love it. That's 100% real. And, all the people out there who are like buying followers on Instagram so their following looks more legit, like, I don't agree with that for the simple reason, like, okay, if you're trying to get to a milestone so you can have the swipe up feature, that kind of stuff or whatever on YouTube, I can kind of get it for that reason. But for me, the huge setback when it comes to finding these fake followers or the wrong followers is like, once you hit that point and you stop buying followers or getting the wrong followers, you don't know if the content you're putting out is working because none of it's real from the beginning. So if you put out a ton of content and you're like, well, I've got 10,000 followers, so I can do the swipe up feature now on Instagram stories. It doesn't matter because all of those are fake. So the swipe ups you're doing might be completely horrible because you don't even know your target audience because you didn't actually build it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, does the fake followers thing even hold water anymore? Because like all the algorithm seems to be designed against allowing that to even work anymore. So
There are
I don't
people who
know.
do it. And
Still. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
still like, yeah, I don't personally get it because like I said, if you get there the wrong way, it's not going to help you get to the next level, because
Right.
you don't know how to put out the content to grow because you didn't, you bought the followers. But yeah, so I want to go ahead and really quick, now that we know where you're coming from with the marketing, I want to ask a pod deck question. Now, for all the listeners out there, they know every episode I start off one of these because I think it's fun and a cool way to get to know you. And while I'm drawing here, I'll show everybody I'm drawing a random card for everybody watch on YouTube. Um, if anybody wants these, you can get 10% off using code TheMattPete when you check out. But I love them for podcasts. So here we go. What will people look back at us 50 years from now and be shocked and appalled by?
Ooh. From
Yeah,
us, me and you, or us
like
like
I
as a
think like I,
society?
mm, I'm gonna go with us as like you answer for yourself because us as a society is a completely different podcast.
I'm like, how philosophical are we getting here
Right.
today?
Well, when people look back at you in 50 years, I'm going to change that card because, like, yeah, that's a completely different topic.
Hmm. Wow. That is what would they be appalled by? I mean, I don't even know how to answer this question.
Here, I'll change it up because I feel like it's meant to be like a catcher. In 50 years, when people look back on you, when you're looking back on your life, how do you want people to see your life?
Mm. Hmm.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think definitely doing something that creates an impact and that has people be able to step into the highest version of themselves in their businesses and in all areas of their life, quite honestly. That's how I work with people. Um yeah, so I guess anything that isn't that would be appalling.
There you go. I love
There you
how
go.
we
I
got
like
to that answer.
worked it in there.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, what's something you see people doing in their marketing that makes you cringe?
mm. Um a lot of kind of spam marketing that's like because I feel like direct to consumer marketing is becoming more and more important, right? And so
Hmm?
people are wanting to be real, they're wanting to be very engaged, they're wanting to be able to talk directly to their ideal customer. And so you see a lot of groups coming coming into form. And when people pop into the DM and they're just like, hey, here's what I have. This is why it's awesome. You should set up a consultation. I'm just like, what? What are you doing? Like, you're totally skipping over the beginning of the relationship. Where's the like, hey, you look interesting? Like, like how would you go up to someone at a bar or at a backyard barbecue? Like, let's not forget how to socialize.
I love that because do you follow Russell Brunson at all?
Yeah.
He talked about that recently, or maybe not him, but somebody he had speaking at one of his conferences talked about how like you got to socialize, you got to network like a normal human. You don't go up to somebody and be like, buy my thing and hold it up in their face. And like, that doesn't work. You have to build that
No.
relationship. And I can't tell you, I joined I forgot what exactly the group was for on Facebook, but I joined and oh my, I had to leave the group. It was a nonstop barrage of spam messages. I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes apart tops, and I'd get another spam message from somebody. It was, luckily I was able to track it back. It's like, okay, I joined these three groups. It's got to be coming from one. So I like had to go through their profiles and see what we had in common so I could leave that group because that's all it was spam people. There was zero value that I
Wow.
got from it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work in the long run.
No. No, it doesn't work. And I also think it's just like the opposite of what people are craving. And so I don't know how, like why I don't see how sustainable it is, right? Like
That's
how
what
that
I'm
could
saying.
really be working
That's
for
what I
anybody.
think too. Like if people out there, they're doing the spam, I feel like they have to be finding some sort of success with it because why else would they do it? But like, I don't know why it would work. I don't get it either. It does actually literally make me cringe every time I see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, one thing, if people out there, one thing I've found that works trying to build a connection, one thing I've been doing recently because I've been doing these podcast episodes is I started scheduling Zoom calls with people who want to talk and get to know more about my business instead of just like a Facebook message or something. I just right before this call with you, I got off a call with somebody else who we didn't record a podcast episode. We were just talking about each other's businesses and how we can improve each other's businesses, that kind of thing. We met at a conference that we went to, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you met at a networking event, you wanted to get to know the person a little bit better, you would say, hey, let's grab a coffee. Now, these days, we can't really go out for coffee. And if we're doing business in an expanded market, not only in our local hometown, we're not going to go out for coffee with somebody, halfway across the country. But we can meet for a virtual coffee chat. Bring your own cup of Joe. Let's sit down 15 minutes. Let's get to know each other a little bit more. How can we help each other? It doesn't even have to be about sales. It can just be about how can we serve each other and support each other in business. And if it naturally leads to sales or, I have something that might support you, I'll let you know, maybe go check out this resource. But it doesn't have to be about that. It can be just really about human connection.
Absolutely. I mean, she didn't try to sell me on anything. I didn't try to sell her anything. We're talking about doing some LinkedIn lives because she does a lot of LinkedIn training, that kind of stuff. So she's like, hey, do you
Mm-hmm.
want to do a LinkedIn live with me? I haven't done any live videos yet. And I was like, hey, that I do a lot of Facebook lives. I was like, that could be fun. Let's try it. So we're gonna schedule a LinkedIn live here soon. Yeah, and we didn't sell each other anything, and we have a connection now going forward. We know each other better. She knows what I do, and I know she knows what she does. It's just a better
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Andrea,
Amazing.
if you were to start marketing for a new business today and you only had $1,000 in your budget, how would you spend it to get some more clients?
Oh, how would I spend $1,000 to get some more clients? Mm, I would probably offer incentives for referrals.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Because the thing is, when you're looking at wanting to market in a business, I think that you have to look at your skill set, and I think you have to look at what's been effective for you in your previous, I know this is hypothetical, is a new business, right? But for me, in all of the previous businesses that I've ever had, my my highest close rate is when I get introduced to somebody. They're kind of like a warm lead, and I get to have a real genuine conversation, break the ice. How do you know so and so? It's very very personal, and those convert best for me. So I think if I could only do one thing, I would focus on the thing that I know is most effective for me.
I love that's the first time I've heard that answer in I think like 15 episodes now. That's the first time I've had somebody say that they're going to focus on referrals. And there is so much truth to that. I literally just got done last night. I was studying on affiliate stuff because I'm helping my brother build a funnel for a book he created. And he has a lot of followers, and we're working on connecting with people who have 10 times as many followers as he has, bringing them in as affiliates. And as I was watching the content, they're like, affiliate marketing is more direct, more warm traffic than Facebook leads, than Google leads, all of that. It's better traffic. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
surprised you're the first person to bring that up. That's super cool that it's so top of mind for me right now and you're talking about it.
Yeah. I also think like if 2020 taught us anything about business, it's that if we were not diversified, that it could impact our business severely. So for everybody who is putting all of their effort, all of their energy, all of their money, right, all of their marketing spend in social media, you know, it could have fallen flat, right? Like, or if all of your business was in
Mm-hmm.
real life, it was brick and mortar. Like now, everybody's trying to figure out how do I make this available online. So I feel like it's more important than ever to diversify that marketing portfolio.
Oh yeah, I have a video production business and I video live events and weddings. So I was one
Mm-hmm.
of those businesses who like when that hit, I didn't have an alternative. I because I mean in my mind I'm thinking, what are the chances that every live event in this calendar year gets canceled? That's never going to happen. And it
Mm-hmm.
happened. so,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, now I'm focusing on, I was like, hey, I'm going to, like you said, diversify and build up some online connections and some work that way so I can help people in a different method. I still do my live events when I can, but they're much fewer and further between. So I'm focusing on different things now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about that diversification. Like, in my group coaching program, I teach people how to, in a very systematic way, build that referral and that affiliate marketing, branch of your sales. And then also how to, tend to the social media, how to build the Facebook group if that's what you want to do. If you want to start doing launches, if you want to start doing master classes and masterminds and, whatever, boot camps, whatever you want to call them, then there's a way to do that too, but it's not one or the other. It's like, how can I use both to my advantage?
Yes, absolutely. That is such a solid answer for that question because, like I said, it's the first time I've gotten it. And it's clearly, if I think it was the Russell Brunson that I was watching talk about affiliates because I use ClickFunnels. So it's probably him or somebody on his team talking about it. And if they believe that it's better than Facebook and Google, and they're always, I mean, if you watch their stuff, they're talking, if I can give Zuckerberg $1 and he gives me two, I'll give him all the money I have. So I mean, if he's talking about affiliates or even better traffic than that, then 100% that's the way to go. All right, Andrea, tell me a story of your biggest marketing mistake.
My biggest marketing mistake. So I think so in my event planning business, so this is back a ways when I started that. um I was I was so new to the industry that I spent a long time kind of looking around to see what everybody else was talking about, how everybody else was marketing. And I really created a business that kind of looked and sounded like everybody else's. It didn't stand out. And that was a really big mistake. And I spent a long time trying to figure out why I wasn't getting the clients through that avenue, through like online marketing, through advertising. And it wasn't until I started to get really trued up to who I am and what I offer that's different and distinct, and what's like my special way that I offer it, and being completely transparent about that I started to get a lot of organic traffic. So a more specific example, that industry, and you're going to get this if you were filming weddings and events, is really based a lot on optics, right? Everybody's sharing on Instagram, and they're sharing the shiny, they're sharing the pretty. And so it's very much marketed like, here's how I'm going to make your event perfect, and here's how it's going to be seamless, and here's how your dreams are going to come true. And everybody's selling that. And as
Yep.
an event planner, I was like, okay, I have to be selling that. Of course, I'm going to give somebody a perfectly planned party. That's my job. So that doesn't make me different. It was when I started saying that there could be things that happen during this event that none of us saw coming. But I've been doing this for long enough that I know how to handle that. And I started talking about the things that go wrong, that we stepped in and in such a way that the client never even knew, that the power went out, or the porta potty hadn't been delivered at the right time, or, I mean, all of the things that happen, that when I arrived at the venue, it was raining inside. Like, they never had to know that. And so I would start to share those things, and people were like, oh my goodness, like, you're somebody who seems like you can handle anything that happens, right? Like, I don't have anything to worry about. And that really changed everything for me in that business.
That's really, I love, looking at what everybody else is doing. And, I told people when I was doing a lot more weddings, that became one of my selling points too, because it got to a point where I'd price out of a certain market, and I was charging, $2,000 for a wedding. And then I went to, over time, built up to about $3,600 in my starting price. And like you said, you have to start marketing yourself differently. So for me, it used to be, I'm going to give you a stress-free day, and I would do my best to provide on that. And, like you said, weddings and events, there's always things that come up. So I started talking about it. It's like, look, a lot of times when you hire a videographer, because you can go and get a new college grad to shoot your wedding for $500. I was like, it's less about, and he might be a great videographer. You can hire somebody. I saw a guy who tried to go from news video work to weddings, and those are two completely different things. And I told him, it's like, it's not necessarily about the knowledge of the video camera so much as the knowledge of how your wedding day works, what to know, what to look for, what to do when things go wrong, what's most important, those kind of things. It only comes from experience in doing this over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
to change up my marketing because my marketing from when I was charging $2,000 didn't work when I was at $3,600. So,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
probably,
And
yeah.
then also from the perspective of what I was talking about before, about having a business that feels as good as it looks, right? Like, not just about it looking good on Instagram and everybody thinks I'm busy, but it's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors, but actually feeling good about like my bottom line and the revenue that I'm bringing in and the way that these conversations and that this marketing is converting into business with the right clients. When I was marketing and trying to sell all of these perfect parties all the time, I was getting people who were quite honestly like a little bit finicky. And then I started to talk about what could go wrong, but I also simultaneously started to talk about meaningful connections and what's available. Like, what is this? What is the purpose of this event? What is it going to make available to your community that didn't exist before we had this wedding, right? And of course, a wedding is supposed to be a celebration of the love of two people. You're going to go through the process in a different way if it is also to honor your community, right? You're going to make decisions in a different way. And so I started to talk to them more about like what's available for the community throughout the process, and really just kind of shift the context in a little bit of a way. And I started to get those clients that really resonated with me, that I was so excited to jump on a call with them and to have our next planning meeting. And, I didn't have clients anymore that I was like, oh, this complainer or that, it was all clients that I loved working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I learned that a while back too. I used to, work on my website all the time, and I would kind of do that cookie cutter thing, like you said, like what's regular in the industry. And I would go do that and like talk about the same things the other people were talking about. And it got to a point where it's like people were talking about the about page. The about page, I feel like in entrepreneurship, everybody has a different mentality. Everybody's like, no, you should do this for your about page. No, you should do, and everybody says it with such certainty what your about page should be. And I was like, you know what? My about page is going to be about me. So like I talk about my history with video and how I got started and all that kind of stuff. But I got in there and actually talked about things that I like. It's like I talk about Disney on my about page because me and my wife got married at Disney. We like going to Disney World. I talk about what food I like and all this kind of stuff. Like I have qualifying, like jokey qualifying. I have a thing on my wedding website. It's called the Repeat Pair. And it's like, because my business is called Repeat Production. So if you're a repeat pair, you might have these things in common. And it's like just a list of like goofy things. If you know the all the words to the Lion King song, and I like literally wrote out the words to the Lion King song, which I had to Google because who knows how to spell that. But it's a joke, obviously. But it makes people smile and laugh when they're on my about page. So it's like if I can bring somebody joy when they're looking at my website, trying to figure out a wedding videographer, it's a stressful thing. It's a high cost thing. Like if I can make them smile and laugh, then I've got more of a chance of at least landing a phone call with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where I shifted as well. And I think, being yourself. Now, when it comes to like big companies, 500 employees, like they can have their brand identity. But for most of the people who are listening to this podcast, the solopreneurs, there's entrepreneurs, the small business owners, having, I think you would agree, having yourself out there and your brand, the brand of you, putting your own personality into that business is going to be a huge selling point, wouldn't it?
Yeah, huge. Oh my gosh. How can people recognize? I feel like identity marketing is more important than ever before. And so, if people are shopping from the perspective of, is this the right person for me? Is this person aligned with my core values and what's important to me and what I believe I want to see for the world? Well, they can't recognize if you're for them if you're hiding behind the veneer, if you're hiding behind the pretty, if you're hiding behind, the Pinterest worthy. I feel like the time of all of that has been used up. And now the people who are growing, by leaps and bounds in their businesses are the people who are pulling back the curtain and saying, like, come inside, get to know me, they're helping you kind of qualify yourself. You're not picking up the phone to kick as many tires as a consumer. You've got time to waste than ever before because all life is all mixed up together right now. So, if I can help people identify themselves and self select and then only reach out if it really seems like a fit, I've done them and myself a service.
I love that. Everything you just said, just like hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. Cool. So, what's your favorite marketing tool right now?
My favorite marketing tool right now is podcast guesting, actually.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I do about at least a podcast a week. And so I just love being able to, I love to talk, in case you can't tell. And it's like I don't get in my head about what's important to me and how I can let people get to know me and hear if I'm right for them and supporting their business. It where I feel like when I sit down to write copy, whether it's for, a social media post or an email newsletter, that takes way more effort and way more energy for me. But showing up to just like have a great conversation and like talk about things that we're both into and that your audience is going to identify with, like that is amazing. And I've had podcast hosts become clients. I've had audience, like listeners, become clients. I've had listeners go through my masterclass and then become clients. Like it has worked. I've done over 30 podcasts in the last 6 months, and it has been extraordinary for my business.
Man, you've done more podcasts in the past 6 months than I have released on this podcast so far. That's awesome. So yeah, and that's one thing I need to get into. I have a podcast and I don't put enough effort into being on other podcasts. That's
Yeah.
definitely a weak point for me. And I obviously love them. Yeah. And
It's huge. It's huge for growing your own podcast audience if you have one. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about guesting on podcasts. But, obviously there's a balance because I started as a guest and now I'm launching my own podcast because I
oh,
do
cool.
want that container for loyal, people who want to hear, me without having to go search all over the place. So, I think it's a balance, but I learned so much by guesting on so many podcasts. I've learned about all the different programs, all the different workflows, like all the ways that you can get it out there in the world, and even to see what some people are doing to follow up and continue to promote their podcasts. Like I love that, the first host, and it wasn't until probably 25 podcasts in that someone said, hey, let's follow up with an Instagram live so that we can do like a little recap chat and get people excited if they haven't listened yet before they go into the weekend. Boom, genius idea. Now I
That's
offer that to every show I go on. I'm like, hey, if you want to follow up with an Instagram live or a Facebook live, wherever your audience is hanging out, let's do it. And it just allows you to continue to leverage that audience that's already connected with and, bought into a host. The host automatically lifts you up to the level of like expert status by just having you as a guest on their show. It's incredible, and it's also so much less competitive than traditional media.
true. That is such a cool answer. Again, first time I've heard that so far, but like it is so powerful. And there's people out there who podcast guest as part of like their main marketing flow. So I mean, it really is powerful. And for anybody out there who doesn't know how to start a podcast, that's a great way to get into podcasting to see if you like it without actually starting a podcast. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do any of the back tech end work or anything. You can just see if you like getting on and talking to people and having conversations about things you know. And that's a really so. What's your best method you found so far of getting on other people's podcasts?
So I do it in two ways. I am in a lot of like Facebook groups and networking groups and now Clubhouse groups about podcasting. So I'm getting in there and I'm networking with hosts and just connecting with them like we were talking about before, like as human beings, just seeing if we like each other's vibes, just getting connected. And then if it's a fit, like, moving forward, we connected in a Facebook group. So
Yep.
this is one example of a way to get booked. And then the other thing that I do, because I am the CEO of a company, so I'm not bogging myself down with constantly researching the right podcasts to get on for me and like my ideal audience. So I do work with a podcast booking agent. So I use both methods, and I really use booking myself as a supplement to my podcast booking agent. So it's an investment, but for me, it was definitely a really great place to invest because it's just such an authentic way for me to market myself that I'd rather spend my dollars there than, like buying social media ads or something like that.
So you said you're coming out with your own podcast,
Yeah, it's the Up Leveled Entrepreneur.
the Up Leveled Entrepreneur.
Yep.
Awesome. The is it out yet?
It's not out yet. It's actually going to be released at the end of this month.
Okay, so it
But
will
I'm
be out by
releasing.
the it'll be out by the time people listen to this episode because this is
Okay.
gonna yep this is like I think you're probably gonna be episode probably 17 or 18 maybe. So and that'll be end of April, beginning of May probably. But yeah, so
Awesome.
people
So
can go
Up Leveled
check it out.
Entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to check that out. That's so what's the premise of the podcast?
So it's all about basically up leveling your mindset so that you can up level your performance as an entrepreneur. So we've got I've got holistic wellness people. I've got my podcast booking agent is going to be a guest on the show. I've got other business coaches, just you name it, like for every area of life, looking at like financial advisors and bookkeepers and all of those people. but it's really about talking to the experts in their field and looking at, how they help their clients, but also how they've up leveled in their own businesses. Because I think the fastest way to learn how to up level your own business is by cutting the learning curve when you hear somebody else's story and you get to like jump to what really worked and bypass what didn't work and all that trial and error.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to check that out. And you said it's launching the end of March.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there. I'm signing up. That's cool. So
Sweet.
yeah. And have you heard of Chris Ducker by any chance?
No, I haven't.
So he does Upreneur, like the branding yourself, that kind of thing. I was on a cruise with him years ago, and just recently I went back and like I videoed all of the conference sessions from that cruise ship, that conference on the cruise ship. And he was talking about podcasting, and he said that having a podcast is like having a megaphone for your business. You're able to put out a bunch of content. You're on a regularly published schedule. Like for me, I love it because it forces me the days that I don't feel like I want to go out there and work and do anything. And I'm just feeling that it forces me. It's like, hey, I've got a podcast episode to put out because people are following my show. They want to see content. So even if it's for my own mental state, it has me doing better and working harder for people. And I honestly I love having it, and I'm excited to check yours out. That's gonna be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing, just circle back to the podcast guesting.
Uh-huh.
When I decided to launch my show, I had 30
Mm.
people that I could reach out to, 30 experts that I had been on their show. And I was like, hey, you want to come be on mine? So launching my podcast has been super easy.
Oh,
Like, I
that's
haven't had
awesome.
to stress about where am I going to find guests, or, I mean, I have these amazing people in my network who also help me promote my other things, right? They help me
Yep.
promote my masterclass. They email their lists when I have an offering that's right for their audience. I mean, it has been incredible from so many different perspectives, but I am booked out through season 2 with
What?
guests. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And yeah, like being on other people's, and now you can go to those people and they're on your show. You can say, hey, would you mind promoting my new show? You're there on your show. They're going to publish it on their channel. Like if I were on your show, I would go and post it on my Facebook and send an email like, hey, check out this episode of this podcast. Like that reciprocity, it comes back around because that's such a cool.
100%.
You've hacked the podcasting system.
Well, if anybody else wants to hack the podcast system, I actually teach it in my masterclass. Like that's a big
awesome.
part of what. So when I do my masterclass, which I do it like about every 6 or 8 weeks or so, I actually talk about how to leverage your own authentic thought leadership. So whatever it is that's your system, your strategy, your method, your thing that you do that's unlike anybody else, how to be able to like scale that message and get it out there, and we build the system around like a Facebook group and a podcast and a couple of other things, but there's definitely a system to it, and it's something that I figured out in my event planning business and then was able to carry over into my mindful business coaching practice.
That's awesome. Where can people go to find out more about your masterclass?
Yeah, so it happens in my Facebook group actually. It's completely
cool.
live. It's 5 days of free training. And so if you go, the Facebook group is the Up Level Collective. So if you go facebook.com/groups/Up Level Collective, that's the group.
Awesome. And that's a free group to join.
Totally free.
What? I'm going to join that. Up Level Collective.
Yeah. I mean, it's like-minded business owners who are ready to scale to multiple 6 and 7 figures using authentic thought leadership and meaningful connection. It's a pretty good group of people to hang out with.
That's awesome. Okay. So you said facebook.com/groups/Up Level Collective, correct?
Yep. That's
there it is. And join group. There you go. I just requested
see you on
to join.
The inside.
Yeah, I got to answer the questions, but I'm going to join because that's really cool. Anybody else who wants to join it, check it out. That's going to be a really cool place. And I'll be in there so you can chat with me too. All right, Andrea, if you could go back to when you first started marketing and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't try to be everything to everyone. Like, really hone in on what makes you you, what is authentic to you, like what you want to be known for. I think I was thinking too short term in the beginning. It was about getting the job, getting the job, getting the job, instead of creating the legacy, instead of really thinking about what I want to be known for. And I had to evolve into that. So I guess I can't say I have any regrets about it, but I wish I had done that thinking a little sooner. I think I was capable of doing it if I had known to actually do it.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Andrea, this episode has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So, what's the best way for people to go and follow you and absorb some more of your knowledge?
Well, the Facebook group is definitely where I'm most active. So if anybody wants to join the Up Level Collective, like I said, there's tons of free trainings, and I'm always in there answering questions at least 2 or 3 times a day. So yeah, that's like a super active place for people to find me.
Awesome. I'll have that linked in your show notes page. Go to mattpete.com, search for Andrea Freeman on the episodes. I'll have that group. That way people can just click right over to it and join that group. Andrea, again, thank you so much for being on today. It was an absolutely awesome episode.
Awesome. This was such a great conversation. Thanks, Matt.
Cool. And for everybody out there listening, I really hope this inspired you as much as it did me. Keep working, keep pushing forward, and remember that marketing matters.